Information fueled.
Opinion driven.
This is Nashville's Morning News with Dan Mandis.
And so, my fellow Americans,
we talk news.
5:06, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Welcome on into your Friday, last day of February. Man, there's a lot going on. We got Zelensky coming to the White House. We're going to cover that. We've got, of course, the Epstein Files that have been re-released. We're going to talk about that. As a matter of fact, I want to get this over and done with right away because I think there's a lot of people, and yours truly included, I just don't know what the hell happened yesterday. So we had Pam Bondi, of course, everybody knows Attorney General, and she went on with Jesse Waters on Fox News, and she says, listen, we got breaking news. We've got some documents that are going to be released, and it turns out it's the same documents, it's the same information that we've known about for years. And these documents have been supposedly sitting on her desk. So did the Attorney General, did she not know that the information that she was about to release is information that's already been out? That most people who know about this story have already seen. And so yesterday, there's so much to this story. So number one, the information was a bunch of retread. That's number one. Number two, did the Attorney General know that the information was retread? And if she didn't, we've got other problems. Number three, and I'm going to get into all of this, of course, is that she is accusing the FBI of withholding or hiding thousands of documents regarding this. And how they released it as well. That's also a part of this conversation. Now, Pam Bondi, she was on with Mark Levin last night. This is part of what she had to say.
So I'm going through it and I kept saying, there has to be more. There has to be more. I'm assured that's it. Cash asked the same questions. Assured there's no more. I found out, this week that a source told me New York, SDNY, they're sitting on thousands of pages of documents regarding Epstein. Thousands. And of course, you've seen the very strong letter. We will get everything. We will have it in our possession. We will redact it, of course, to protect grand jury information and confidential witnesses.
So here's the problem. The problem is that this story has been so hyped by Kash Patel, by Pam Bondi. And so then when the day comes where we're supposed to get some information on this, then a lot of the folks who have been really urging this information to be put forward, they end up with egg on their face and the whole thing is just deflated. And here's the thing. The story, the media is portraying this story as, well, listen to this headline from the New York Times. Epstein Files release, hyped by Pam Bondi, falls short of expectations. The release of flight logs and Jeffrey Epstein's contact list by the Attorney General was met with criticism from those who had expected the documents to reveal new information. And so they hyped it to the point where everybody was on the edge of their seat and looking forward to some new information. Now, the reality is that a lot of folks are focused on the wrong thing. You just heard Pam Bondi say that there's thousands of documents supposedly that have been covered up or hidden, maybe destroyed by certain forces within the FBI. So that's what the headlines really should be. The FBI hides documents from the Attorney General in massive cover-up over Epstein. That's what the headline should be. But you see, when they released these binders to influencers, what they really should have done was they should have really spoken about these documents that have been hidden, supposedly, by the FBI. Instead of all of these influencers that a lot of folks haven't necessarily heard of, and they're all holding up the documents, and turns out there's nothing new in it. What she should have done was she should have gone to a podium, found all the cameras, and said there are forces within the FBI that are trying to protect pedophiles. And they are hiding thousands of pages of these documents. And these are people that are employed by the American people, and we will hunt them down. That's what she should have done. Instead, we've got all these influencers that are holding up binders of old information. And so the problem is what we've managed to do, what Trump managed to do, and Pam Bondi managed to do, is they gave the media an opening to be able to essentially mock and criticize not only the Trump administration, Pam Bondi, but also people who were outraged over Jeffrey Epstein and what a lot of people have been able to get away with. And so that's part of the conversation today. Now, remember, there's a lot of sneering going on right now, but you know what? The last laugh perhaps could be with Pam Bondi.
Well, it could be criminal. You know, the Attorney General was sandbagged deliberately by our own employees at the FBI's New York field office, withholding thousands, as you point out, of documents, defying her order to hand everything over and then lying about it. You know, nobody should be surprised at the deceit and the sheer arrogance of the FBI.
Yeah, that's Greg Jarrett, Fox News. Now, again, there's a lot of sneering going on right now from the leftist media because they believe that this exposes Donald Trump and Pam Bondi as failures. I don't believe that's the case. This is a case where what is exposed is the FBI and those within the FBI, they're trying to cover up the sex trafficking of children. Now, Pam Bondi, you know, if you listened to Murphy yesterday and all the hosts yesterday, everybody talked about it, where she included a letter to Kash Patel and basically telling him that by 8 a.m. Eastern time this morning, he better have all of those documents tracked down and on her desk. Page 1 of these documents, that letter to Kash Patel from Pam Bondi. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I will summarize it. She is telling Patel that before he came into office as the head of the FBI, that the New York field office was in possession of thousands of documents related to the investigation, and these were never disclosed to her, even though she demanded those documents, all documents. But there is a whistleblower that is saying that they are hiding or are in possession of these documents that have not been given over. And so she is demanding that Kash Patel get these documents. And so we'll have to see ultimately what happens, but, you know, they're supposed to be on her desk by 8 a.m. Eastern this morning.
Gross insubordination. And by the way, those people better be on the phone tonight to good criminal defense attorneys, because willfully concealing documents from the Attorney General, misrepresenting the truth, looks very much like obstruction of a federal agency. That's a crime. And if 2 or more people are involved, that's conspiracy to obstruct justice. So lawyer up, boys and girls.
So that's going to be very interesting if they can track down not only those documents, but also who is hiding those documents, if these documents still exist. I've got more on this straight ahead. So Pam Bondi, of course, you know what she did. She came out the night before the release.
Tomorrow, Jesse, breaking news right now, you're going to see some Epstein information being released by my office.
So she set the bar pretty high. I mean, she did. But it wasn't breaking news. It was old news. And so, as I just mentioned, she says in the letter that she had found out late yesterday. And the letter was dated February 27th. So that would have been on the 26th that there was still thousands of pages missing. So did she find out about the missing documents after this appearance on Jesse Waters' show? And if these 200 pages, and this is what I just don't get, and maybe you super texters can set me straight, but if these 200 pages were what was sitting on her desk, and this was all old information that has already been out there, did she not know that? What they should have done was they should have paused the release and said, hey, we have found out that the FBI field office in New York might be holding back some files. It's almost like they buried the lead. They released all of these, files and the Rolodex and all of the names and everything. But again, stuff that we've all known and that's been out for quite some time. And so they released this like it's some sort of a big thing when it's really not. And that's the lead of the Attorney General. When, again, not to belabor the point, but the lead does need to be, or should have been, that the field office in New York from the FBI is hiding all of these documents. If these documents still exist. Or if they ever existed.
That the American people have a right to know. And Donald Trump is the most transparent president in our nation's history. So not only will America get the full Epstein files, they will get JFK, they will get Martin Luther King.
All right, awesome. So here's the thing. Another point. Why did she and they release these to influencers who didn't really have the apparatus or the way to put them up online so that everybody could see them? They're finally up. They got put up last night. But why would you not give them to everyone, media included, influencers, posted on a website? But you gave it to influencers. Why? Why would you do that? As opposed to letting everyone see them at the same time. So that's another issue. But can I just ask, because I'm asking questions. If there was a massive cover-up at the FBI with thousands of documents, would these documents still exist? Because this has been going on for a long time. It was no secret that Pam Bondi and Donald Trump and Kash Patel and all these folks had been out there saying on day one, these Epstein files are going to be released, right? I mean, this hasn't been a secret that they were going to go after these documents and these files and so forth. So would these documents, if they ever existed, why would they still be in existence? Why wouldn't they put them in burn bags or whatever it is they do to destroy these documents? That's another question that I would have. I just think that they made errors. Just errors. I don't know any other way to say it, man. One of the problems you have, and this is something that is just the way that Trump has been conducting himself, and I'm not saying this in a negative, but you've got Pam Bondi and Kash Patel and others who have been going on all the conservative podcasts, all the conservative talk shows. And by the way, I'm a conservative talk show. But they've been going on all of these different media outlets, and they've been saying Epstein Files, day one, all this stuff. And so then when they get into power, they have to live up to all of their rhetoric from the previous couple of years on all of these social media, whether it's interviews, whether it's their own social media posts, whatever. And they've got to live up to that. They made a promise when they appeared on all these talk shows and all these podcasts. You made a promise. Epstein Files, day one, new information. And then it just ends up with a big old fizzle. And so now maybe you could say the Trump administration, Pam Bondi at least, has egg on her face. However, there could be more information that comes out today. We don't know what's going to happen. So if they actually are able to uncover thousands of documents, that is going to be huge. But to me, this is an unforced error. And I can say that as a guy who has been paying attention to this story for a long time, but I'm among those people that believe that, yes, this is an important story, but there's a lot of other stuff to cover and to talk about. But the headlines need to be the FBI cover-up and not Pam Bondi released old information. And that, of course, is on Pam Bondi because what she did was she gave the media the opportunity to do that by releasing old information and then not talking about or screaming from the headline, screaming from the mountaintops, from any microphone, any television camera, as it was being released, that there is a massive cover-up going on within the FBI. That's what she should have done. That's what the focus should have been, not just a bunch of influencers holding, these binders full of old information. So there you go. 522 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7. The whole story, Joan. I don't know if you want to comment on it or not, but holy moly.
It's the most disappointing story ever, because these were the people, the Pam Bondis, the Kash Patels, that were holding up as heroes. Like, we're expecting you to do what Elon Musk is doing. Get out there and fight.
Yeah.
Where's the fight?
There should have been a joint press conference.
Yeah.
Where you got Pam Bondi and Kash Patel, and they've got their binders full of old information.
Yeah.
And they should have said, this is what we have. But what we don't have is the thousands of documents that the FBI is holding. That's what they should have done. That would have forced the media to cover this in a far different way.
Absolutely.
All right, I'm done. 523.